guys, and welcome back. This is Chosenarchitect. Today we're jumping back into some more of the Mod 7 to the sky. Hopefully you guys are ready. Now the first thing on my to-do list is going to be getting ourselves fissile fuel set up. And we're going to be using this to get ourselves a reactor started so we can start producing plutonium and polonium. Yeah, both of those two materials, because those are going to be super essential for getting everything set up in the future and getting ourselves antimatter, which is what I'm after. So fissile fuel, it's going to require a few machines. Actually, I believe it's there's actually a beautiful setup, simplistic setup we're going to be using today that is on the wiki, and it is quite easy to set up. However, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit it in this room. I could put it right in the middle of the floor. I just don't know if I should do that, or maybe I should go down one level and build it on that level. I think we should do that. So I have my new area set up, and as you can see, it's plenty of room. And if I need to set up multiples of these, of course, I should be able to copy this whole setup and do it. Now, I'm going to be using this setup. I'm going to show you it here. And this is a nice little screenshot of the website and the stuff that I'm going to be putting together. Now, I need to take this and translate it into the world. And it's actually pretty simple to do. So this whole setup is actually broken down into 3 separate parts. We have making sulfuric acid. We also have making uranium oxide and making the fissile fuel, which is what we're going to need for a reactor. So this first part right here is all dedicated to making sulfuric acid. And then we have these 2 machines right here, which are going to be dedicated to making the uranium oxide. And then this section right here is where everything gets combined, and we're going to be making the fissile fuel inside the isotropic centrifuge. Now this may be a lot of big words and a lot of chemistry and stuff like that, but I promise you it's actually not too hard, especially with this setup. All we're going to do is just make sure we route a few things around. We're also going to need some other machines other than this, because we need a way to get oxygen into this system. We're also going to need a setup for coal. We have to provide this thing with some coal. And I believe we also need the, for this setup, we are going to be making the yellow cake uranium. So we are going to need uranium ingots. So all of this is going to be producing, like I said, fissile fuel. Now, the good part is all of our power can simply be routed right here in the middle. So everything is actually going to be connected together. So the machines are going to be feeding items to each other. And we shouldn't have very many cables. I think we're going to have a cable that is going to be sending oxygen to this, and they're also going to be sending oxygen to this machine right here. And then we need water going to this machine, and then we also need water going to this machine, right? And I believe this is going to be generating vapor for this machine. And then there's going to be a transfer cable that is going to run this machine to this machine. Other than that, that is literally all the cables. I'm going to show you how this is going to be set up. So I have most of the cables running. As you can see, this is a fluid pipe that is going to be connected to our water source. Water source is flowing right here. I am going to need a water source on this, so let me go ahead and get a tank. I could probably just run the water over here, actually. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's just run the extra water into this, and we'll make sure that we set the fluid side to make sure it accepts it from any side. As you can see, this already has some stuff in it, but we're going to be sending the oxygen into this section right here. Oxygen is going to go into this. And technically, this is already going to start to fill with oxygen. And this right here also is going to need oxygen. However, it's going to have to be configured in the settings here in a little bit. But right now, this is nice and running. As you can see, I moved my applied energistics over here. So off of this cable, technically, even though it says 0 out of 8 channels, technically up there, we only have 2 channels left, which is perfect. I have a channel for this, and I have a channel that is actually going to be one of our peer-to-peers that we were using for coal. And it's really nice that we have that peer, and I can actually connect up a peer for that and send coal to this pressurized reaction chamber. So with this setup, we're almost done, actually. We almost have everything ready to go. The only thing is I need to connect this to this, but I first need to get these materials set up in here and get all the machines configured so that way their sides are facing the proper side. Basically, I need to make sure that this machine, for example, I need to make sure the byproduct goes over to this, and so on and so forth until it reaches here. And then I believe this needs to feed into this machine. So I've got to just, you know, configure all the settings. So I can tell you the hardest part is definitely setting up the configuration for all these machines, because you have to kind of understand. And like I said, using that sheet is really helpful that I showed at the beginning. And of course you can find that on the wiki for Fissile Fuel, but I'll go ahead and show you the settings I have. So this is the settings for the items going into the pressurized reaction chamber, which is going to be taking in oxygen. As you can see, the oxygen is going to be an input on all sides, which is fine. It's going to be taking in oxygen, and then we're also going to be taking in coal and water. So the fluids can be filled on any side as well. But the items, we need to make sure the input's on the left and outputting to the right and auto ejecting into here. This chemical oxidizer is going to be making sulfur dioxide, which is going to come from that dust, that sulfur dust that it's receiving. Then that gets piped over into this machine. Now this is where things get a little complicated. I recommend looking up the recipe for the materials, because where this sends this as a gas over to here, we need to make sure that this gas is set up to go into the proper red or yellow here, or orange. And so for that, believe it or not, this is actually the side. The red side is not the side. The red side is going to be getting oxygen. And then this side over here is going to be receiving the sulfur trioxide. And then the output right here needs to be defined as going to the next machine, which is this one right here. So things get a little bit more complicated when we get to this. So we also have over here steam being produced. We have this set to decondensing trading. So this is converting this water into steam. And for this, of course, the water is being put into the top, and then the gases are being pushed to the left, going into this machine. And then, of course, right here, here's the same settings for this. So we have our input on the right going over here, and then we have the input from the left going over here. And then, of course, our output is going to the top, which is going to be sent through this pipe into the chemical dissolution chamber. The chemical dissolution chamber needs another item. So we're going to be sending the fluorite, I believe, is what this receives. So I am going to have to have another output over here. And so I'm probably going to end up using another network node potentially for this. I might end up just removing these and just dragging a new line down here. But for right now, this, like I said, is going to receive fluorite, and is also going to receive the sulfuric acid that this is going to be generating. So this will get sulfuric acid, the fluorite, and then that is going to be producing the hydrofluoric acid. The hydrofluoric acid then needs to be moved into the chemical infuser. So again, over here on the gases, we have the input going over from the left going into this left side, or coming from the right going to the left side. And this is going to combine two different things together in order to produce the thing we need. We need to get uranium hexafluoride. So we have the hydrofluoric acid, and then we need uranium oxide, which comes from these two machines. So this is going to be receiving the coal, or this is going to be receiving uranium ingots, and that is going to be crushed down. And that uranium ingot then gets put into this machine, because we'll end up getting yellow uranium, or yellow cake uranium, from that enrichment chamber. I keep calling it a crusher, but it's not. It's an enrichment chamber. And then the yellow cake uranium then gets turned into uranium oxide. And then that'll get put into here, combined up, right? And we get uranium hexafluoride. And then that put into the isotropic centrifuge produces fissile fuel. I hope that wasn't too complicated. I think the hardest part now is just getting our ME system set up, so that way I can go ahead and just use exporters to export those items out of our system. So let's go ahead and set this up. This is actually going to be pretty easy. I actually went ahead and just added a new line that is going to have its own 8 channels. And then over here, this is going to be an export bus. This is going to need, and then I don't know if, can I go ahead and configure this? Yes, I can. So we are going to need fluorite. I think it's called fluorite, FLU. So that is going to be inserted into that side. And then over here was the uranium. And I don't know. Uranium, I think this is the raw uranium that we're actually receiving. Yeah, the raw uranium. So I can go ahead and drag that in. Now, this is where things get a little bit more complicated. This is going to be our peer-to-peer. And if we remember, we did set up a peer-to-peer for our coal a little while back. And all I have to do is change this to an item peer-to-peer and then utilize that memory card. So loaded device configuration for memory card. And so this should now be sending coal. So as soon as we connect this and make this online, so let's go ahead and see, where would this be routed? Right here. So yeah, once this is connected, actually we could probably bring this down one more. There we go. So once that's connected, it says linked to the sides. And as you can see, coal is now being put in. And I don't know if there's speed upgrades. I think we would have to upgrade the speed from which the items are being inputted in, which I definitely need to do in order for this to be more successful. Other than that, I think we are just about ready to go. I just, like I said, need to get my final cables hooked in. So for example, this cable. And things are going to be looking pretty good here soon. The last thing is hooking in our power. So this right here, all of these machines are going to need to be powered. And so let's grab some more cables. And I mean, honestly, this is a pretty straightforward process. So I can put a plug or a point right there, and I'm going to put a point on this. So 2 points for this system for right now. Should have crafted 2 instead of 1. There we go. But as soon as I put this on here, things should hopefully start working. And we should start to see the actual fuel go in here. This actually needs external power on its own. And I think what I can do is I can probably just put a point on the bottom, just to make sure it has its own separate power as well. Other than that, I mean, we basically have fissile fuel. I mean, I guess it's time to start thinking about how we're going to set up the reactor for which this is going to feed into. So I did realize I have run into a little bit of a problem. We are going to need a tank that is going to be for our first machine here. And all we have to do is set this tank down at the bottom. And we need to basically take a look at this hydrogen that this is generating. And so if we know hydrogen is a gas, we can say, hey, output to the bottom. Because at the moment it is not outputting where we want any of this gas to go. Let me see. This is the red. Yeah. We don't want the hydrogen going anywhere but to the bottom. So we can output that into this. And then we can set this to dump excess. And so that is going to save us from that machine shutting down eventually. I think everything else is running smooth. It's just running slow at the moment because this has not filled up with oxygen just yet. But if I put some upgrades in this, this will start to generate the oxygen at a significant rate. And then we'll get oxygen in this machine. And then once that's all ready to go, then all of this will start to kick in because, let's see, this is generating yellow cake uranium. Oh, I must have messed up a config here. So yellow cake uranium, that must mean this is not taking my input for some reason. So that's producing uranium dust instead of yellow cake uranium. Uh-oh, we might have an issue here. Aha. So to fix this problem, we are going to need uranium ingots. And then to get uranium ingots, I'm assuming we just smelt them like normal. Yeah, raw uranium needs to be smelted. Okay, so I mean, we can go ahead. I think we might have uranium smelted up. We have a little bit of uranium smelted up. But I'm going to have to get this sent over to the process instead of what is currently going on, because that is not what we need. We need the other side of this. I'm glad I caught that. So I went ahead and added my uranium to this setup. Now, eventually my ore processing will be changed. We'll end up going full demon on our ore processing these 6 times, right? I just need to get all of the infrastructure to get the items there and kind of get timing set up with that, because it's kind of a timing based thing. But other than that, I think we now have this set up. Let's pop down here and let's check. let's see, the oxygen has now depleted on this. For what reason? I don't know. Why is my oxygen gone? Did I mess up on where I'm sending the gases? No. Oh no. Oh, I must have changed a setting. Okay, so yeah, this is the things that you have to encounter. So that means on my gases, I turned off the input on the front. There we go. Also, this is probably not exporting simply because when I placed it, I didn't say, hey, also output on the left. And so that would probably help if we also have outputs happening on the appropriate sides. Because I placed it like this, I believe. And so, yeah, I definitely want the outputs to be going the appropriate direction. Just wish I had like a round robin mode. So with all the upgrades inside here, everything is kicked off. It's incredibly loud and noisy, just like any other factory would be. This is kicking off. And let's see, this is producing the uranium hexafluoride, but it is not going into this machine for some reason. Almost wonder if that is because this is backwards. Yes. Okay. That is the case because it was backwards. Now, interestingly, I think this face, I guess it really doesn't matter. So long as it's sending, I don't care. We're going to have to eventually pipe out of this anyways to get this fissile fuel into a running reactor. So when it comes to setting up the reactor, I'm going to be starting off with a 9x9 and seeing if this is going to work. Now, as far as how tall it's going to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We could probably go with a 9x9 as well. So we make it a full 9x9x9 cube. This is going to give me quite a few assemblies in here, which is going to give me hopefully the burn rate that I can handle. And that actually matches perfect. That fits right in here. So this thing is going to get several different things. We're going to have reactor glass as I'm working on crafting. That is going to fill up. I'm probably just going to put reactor glass here on the face. But it's going to get reactor glass on the outside. This whole bottom's got to be filled up with this. And then it also is going to get the control rod assemblies is going to go on the top. And then the whole middle is going to be filled with the fission fuel assemblies. So lots of auto crafting that I've got a kid working on once I get this all built up. Now, in placing down the assemblies, they're going to go just like so in this sort of zigzag pattern. And this is going to go all the way up to almost the top. To it's going to go up to here. And then on the top, these are going to be capped with those assemblies like I mentioned before. And so I'll be able to count how many we need at that point. So I have all of my assemblies ready to go. Pop these right on top. And we have exactly 25 of them. Now, we're supposed to be able to get up to 1 millibucket of fissile fuel per assembly. But of course, like the website says, it depends on a lot of different factors. So we'll see how that goes. Now, all you gotta do is cap off the top and hope that there's no light sources that made their way down in here. If so, I'm gonna have to fix those. But the only other thing we need is some access ports on the side, and we should be good to go. Now, in placing down these access ports, to actually change what they do, you just shift right click with the configurator. You can see output waste, output coolant, input only. That is our options here. So input is gonna be like inputting our water, which we're gonna have to feed a bunch of water to this, which is gonna be kind of a challenge. It's gonna be a fun challenge to see how we can do that. I know we can use the sinks, but you know, that's a thing. And then really we're only gonna, I think, need 1 output. And we have the waste output, which we're gonna be using for something else. That's how we're gonna be getting our plutonium and stuff like that, or plutonium and all that fun jazz. This is going to be actually outputting steam. So it's going to be outputting coolant. Now, in this pack, we have a way of getting rid of the steam. Normally, you would take the steam, put it into a turbine. The turbine would then convert it back into water and generate power, and then spit it back into this, helping you put water in here. But if we have infinite water, it's not going to be that big of a problem. So we're going to see. I might end up building a turbine just to generate power, but I don't know if we're going to need all that much power just yet. We are going to need it later on. But there's gonna be many other ways I'm gonna use that to generate power. So if I set this all up correctly, when I close this, we should get that red particle effect just like we did. And now we should have an interface. You can see right here, we can activate it, turn it on, all that fun jazz. Now, on the port here, I think what I'm going to do is this is going to be where I'm going to set up the fissile fuel. So I do need an input here as well. And this is going to be an input for our fissile fuel, which is going to be just piped directly down into this. So for that, let's go ahead and just use the highest tier pipe. Now, I think the fissile fuel, is it a gas or a liquid? It's going to be a gas because that's the only thing that this produces. So that means we are going to need a pressurized tube. And I believe I have all of that set up for autocraft. Or at least I thought I did. There's the advanced pressurized tube. All right, so let's go ahead and get this hooked up. So I have my ultimates set up. I ended up getting all the autocrafting done for that. This right here should be as simple as placing that down and hooking that in. And now what we should see is hopefully, yeah, fissile fuel starting to build up. That is incredibly loud up there. And then over here, we're actually going to use an ultimate trash can. And I'm going to be pulling out with the ultimate pressurized tube. We're going to be pulling out the steam. That is hopefully how that's going to work. Now, we have another byproduct that we're going to have to deal with, and that is waste. And I think we're going to deal with that next episode. But for right now, let's go ahead and see if we can't get water in here. And how quickly can we actually get water in here? Now, I was thinking, we do have integrated dynamics. And is that going to be the best way to send fluid? I don't know. I've been kind of told it is. So I guess we'll find out. Because we can set that rate, right? And we can set that really high. So let's grab a logistics cable. And we'll plop that here, and then this here. Slap our cable in there to make it a thing. And then we can say export all fluids. But before we do that, let's actually set the rate so we can see if this actually goes really quickly. So if we set this here, right, that's going to be 1,000 buckets a tick, if that is correct. So if so, that should be pretty fast. But is there a limit? I don't know. So let's actually pull this off. And so we've seen how fast that was actually going in. All right. So let's actually test the other pipe and see if that changes anything. So we have the ultimate mechanical pipe, and let's see, is this going to be faster? Actually, no. So from the looks of it, the way we had it set up is indeed faster. Okay, so we will use this. And I wonder if I set that rate even higher. Like, what's the base rate on this? So that does 128 per tick. I wonder if we can go even higher on this. Maybe this base rate is not the base. Maybe I can add another 0. And we can see if that works. Oh my. Oh, so okay. So we can add zeros. It's just math. I mean, in reality. So this might be near infinite. That's crazy. We can have that go incredibly fast. I don't think water is going to be an issue we have to worry about anymore. That is beautiful. So wow, this machinery is quite loud, but I need to set up this onto an ender chest. We're actually going to be going ahead and utilizing the waste. So I actually am going to need some fluorite. Let's take a look at some cable, and I'm just going to use another exporter, like that's going to connect to this chest here. So an ME export bus, and this is going to be getting Mekanism fluorite. And we actually need to turn that into dust, so we are going to need a crusher. So there we go. That should be exporting that to this chest, and I do have another one. These are set to gray, by the way. But down here, where things are nice and quiet, the back it has this waste. Now, I haven't turned this on. If I turn this on, it is going to start generating waste, and I can't have that. So we have to find another solution to this. I also need to make sure that the thing that I'm about to send out can handle everything. So what I'm going to need is to set this up first and hopefully get both of these machines up and running. We need to basically take the waste that this generates and we need to send it to two different machines, an isotropic centrifuge and a solar neutron activator. This is going to convert the waste, and this is the dangerous part, by the way, because you can spill and make your whole base radioactive. But the nuclear waste here gets turned into plutonium, and the nuclear waste can also be converted into polonium. So the plutonium and polonium, these two different materials. So I believe this is actually going to be a pretty decent setup. I just need some cables. This needs power. This actually does not need power. However, it does need access to the sun. And that might pose a little bit of a problem now that I think about it. Because of this. Interesting. It is like one block off. And if I was to break this and put this in, nobody would notice, right? Nobody will notice. Yeah, you didn't see a thing. But it does need access to the sun. And I'm hoping that works right there where it has access to it. So while this one is not working at night, this will be working. And we just need to, I guess, send the tubing to it. So right here we'll be sending this here. And now this will actually have to run to the bottom, I believe. Unless they made it so you can, they made it so you can configure the sides of this. Oh, that's fancy. Okay. So you know what? We might actually be able to put these on the ground. I'm just going to leave them where they're at. I think that's fine. So if in that case, we can say gases, we can actually change where this goes. Of course, the top is going to be blocked off, but from where I place this, we know that this should be the back. So on the back side will be input, and on the front will be output. Oh, I'm so glad they gave these configs. These didn't have configs before. I don't even think the isotropic centrifuge had a config. So that's pretty awesome that it does now. Of course, the back on this one, and we will say the front will be the output. And of course, I'm setting all this up prior because it is kind of a pain to start manipulating this afterwards. Okay, so with these, we are going to say the input for the gases are going to be on the back. I think it's already configured. That one's also already configured. This one, we're basically going to have an ender chest, I believe, and we need to send the items to this. So I'll probably just pipe the items through an ender chest, and I can have the ender chest back here, and then use a logistical pipe to just send the items through. Actually, I can probably use this one. And so this is going to send the items into here, just like that. And then I just need to make sure, yep, that's full. This back is going to be an input. And then we'll set the auto eject and have this go to this side and this side. We need to make sure that the items are able to accept on that side, and also that the items are able to accept on this side. Perfect. So it is configured. Now we just need to run the power on the bottom. And here's the fun part. We need to tell, basically these machines are going to generate waste, and there's nothing we can do with it except for put it into a waste barrel. This is where the fun is going to come into play. And, well, we're also going to use a pressurized tube for that. For right now, I am just going to route the tubes like so, and have it come out of this side. So hopefully that can maintain everything. And we don't have an issue. Of course, later on, I'm going to be adding to this radioactive waste barrel setup here, because only one, it just doesn't work. And I believe these, let's see, waste, the decay rate is really, really small. It only does 1 millibucket every 20 ticks. Honestly, wish that was higher in this. Also, I'm noticing this is not connecting. Does it have to go onto the top in order for it to work? Oh, it does. Okay. So yeah, it has to go onto the top. Interesting. So it does leave me with a little bit of wiggle room on here for adding more. Of course, we can add, 2 more there. but we also need to make sure, this is very specific, we need to make sure that this is outputting to where it's supposed to be, which is on the left side. And then on this one, gases on the left side. This one's very important that you don't, or sorry, this needs to be on the right side. This is very important that this does not get messed up. There we go, output on the right. All right, I think we're almost good to go to turn this whole reactor on and get this baby up and running. We just got to get power to this machine and these 3 machines. Oh boy, I am super nervous. With all of this said and done, I did have to remove some upgrades from that. I think it's down to 7 upgrades it's down to 6 upgrades instead of 8. But I got it set up. Now, if we turn this on, oh boy, that is so loud. But we may notice a few things. And okay, let's take a look at the rates. Okay, so at the moment it is burning at 0.1, but we have 25, so we should be able to bring this burn rate up. Let's try 5 for right now. We notice the burn rate has went up. What we're looking for is this temperature to become at a dangerous level, but I think we can go higher than this. So I am currently running this at 25 millibuckets a tick, which is supposed to be what it can handle based on how many we actually have. And believe it or not, our fissile fuel is still going up, so we still have more than enough. We might even be able to go higher than this, but for right now, just to feel comfortable, I'm gonna leave it at this rate. And let's go back here and take a look at this running. So this is filling up with nuclear waste faster than we can actually fully process it. And of course, this can't process it yet either. So what's going to happen is this is going to fill up with waste, which is unfortunate. We may have to end up using multiples of these. For some reason, this is not spilling the beans over here. For some reason, this is not exporting this is plutonium. For some reason, it's not sending the plutonium. Let's see. Let's configure the sides again. Gases. The front. Oh, the front needs to be an output. There we go. And there we go. And that's filling up. And then this needs water. And I think this one also needs water. So, yeah, we're going to need a couple of water tanks. And I think that is it for this. So if we flip that over, you can see now this is going to start to process. And we're going to be generating plutonium pellets. And then this one's going to be generating plutonium. So there we go. Perfect. After sleeping, which we might want to set this up on a timer, this is now working perfectly and is producing exactly what we want. So with this on, which makes so much noise, with this on, this is now receiving, yeah, plenty. And I mean, I guess what I could do is potentially next episode, set up a way to turn this off and on again, like at night. And that's very, very simple. Well, guys, with that, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Of course you did. Of course you learned something new. I know you did, especially if you've never messed with the reactor stuff. I think I did my best to try and explain it. It is kind of complicated, but you know, with everything that is complicated, I mean, I try my best to explain it the best I possibly can. So with this, we are one step closer to antimatter, which is fantastic, and the production of it. And I think this is going to be the way to do it and produce it at a significantly faster rate. So guys, let's thank the sponsor of today's video. And that, my friends, is going to be a huge thanks going to Ouija Coop. Thanks so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord, becoming a Discord premium member and supporting the videos that I make for you guys. Thank you so much. And of course, guys, if you're interested in joining the Discord, just like Ouija, all you gotta do is go to discord.gg/Chosenarchitect and join the amazing crew over there, or you can find it linked down in the description below, along with all kinds of stuff, including my PC specs, which I get asked about all the time, and my Twitch channel, and believe it or not, I even have a Twitter. So, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Click that subscribe button if you learned something. If you didn't, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I don't know how bad I did. Guys, I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.